Champions League, very important competition for the football club, important for Mamelodi Sundowns with regards to the objectives set. And we have to do better than we've done in the last 3 seasons. And that is what we aim to do this season, is to do better and try our level best, like we do with every competition and every match, is to win every match, is to win every competition. Unfortunately, we are still in the last 3 competitions of the season, and we have to do our best to try to win every single match from now on in. They're a little bit different to last season, and it has to do mainly because of the 9 signings that they've made, the change in the technical leadership with Ibenge, an experienced coach that has done very, very well with Vita. Last season won Confederations Cup. And so from that type of level, you see the level of experience and the organizational forms. They still have a couple of players that we had from last season, Ahmed at centre-back, Vitinho, the centre-back that played for Petro, Abdel Rahman, the striker, the captain, the number 10. So there's still quite a few players that we are very familiar with, even though they've made a couple of changes. They're doing very well in the league. We've managed to get a couple of their games. It's not so difficult given the software platforms now that are available, but also the amount of work that's been done by our advanced team and our analysts in traveling to Tanzania, because they had a camp there where they played 3 matches, won and drew 2. Against good teams and Champions League pedigree teams like Simba. When we were able to get that type of footage, the footage against Azam, we were also able to get. Very good league form too, with 44 points and 14 wins, and sit on top of the log. And yeah, we know we have to play against a good side with good physicality, very, very physical because of the profile that the players have. And when I say physical, I mean from an aerial perspective in terms of dominating set pieces and dominating aerial duels, defensive and offensive. When I speak of the physicality, I'm talking about the speed also on counter-attacks if they sit in a low block. And then, of course, very, very good players who have possibilities to influence the game. So we've done work like Ronze says, and we will continue tonight. I've still got quite a lot of work to do on them, because I've asked for quite a lot of footage. But the team, in relation to what we've seen and what we experienced last season, is a little bit different, and that's why we had to go a little bit into the profiling today, put pictures to faces, to characteristics, and so the players can memorize and store the facial profile of the players, but also context to it. We'll add a bit more detail tomorrow, but we've already started with that work today. Yeah, I've got big respect for Ibenge. I first met him when we played against Vita a couple of years ago. I was still the assistant at Mamelodi Sundowns. And to see how his career has progressed and how he's done exceptionally well as an African coach is something that brings a lot of motivation, gives a lot of pride also, but also gives good inspiration. But as I always say, we give too much importance to coaches in South Africa, and I don't think we are that important. I think the game belongs to the players, and at the end of the day, it's 11 versus 11 on the pitch, and it's the Sundowns players versus Hilal players, and those are the people that everybody pays money to come and watch. They don't come to watch us, the coaches, and so the matchup is of irrelevance in my opinion, because the most important people in the football match are the players. Fortunately, I was part of this magnificent club when we won the Champions League, and I was privileged enough to gain a lot of experience. So, and like I said, also with regards to that, I don't play. I just try my level best to assist the players to do the work that is needed behind the scenes, to give the information to the players, and then to help them on the pitch, to give some form of structure and preparation to give us possibilities to put a very good performance. And that's what I try to do with the rest of the technical team and the support staff. What I think it takes to win the Champions League, for sure, number one, I think you need a lot of quality. Number two, you need a lot of luck, because I always say the league competitions are always about the best team, and the cream always rises to the top, because you've got to be extremely consistent over a period of 6, 7, 8 months, maybe. But the Champions League and cup competitions, you need quality, for sure. You need good performances, and then consistent performances, because in the group stages, without that, you have no chance to qualify for the knockouts. But as you go into the knockouts, first leg, second leg, you need a little bit of luck, but you generate your luck by the work that you put in. And then that's one of the other things. Number three is a lot of hard work. It's not easy. You've got to get games of the opposition. You've got to watch, because you don't know the players. There's different teams coming from different parts of the continent, and North African teams play different to the SADC region teams. They play different to Central African teams. They give you different challenges to West African teams. So East African teams too, they are completely different. And so the adaptation with regards to tactics and profiling of the opposition is important. And then to make sure that, for an example, you have players like Lelepo, for an example, who comes from Congo, with the coach, adds a little bit of quality to a Sudanese team. That also gives different dynamics, because you expect a team that is got a different profile because of the regulations in the league, and the players have to understand sometimes the footage that we give them from league competitions is not necessarily what to expect in the Champions League, because they've got foreigners that they can register in the Champions League, but they don't register in the domestic league. So there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and then you've got to have the mental fortitude to overcome the external factors that go from officiating with the assistance of VAR, and something we don't have here in South Africa. So that also has an influence on the type of football games that are played, the quality and the surfaces and of the pitches, the availability of flights and the traveling, the hotels, and all these other external factors. But we've discussed that already. We know, and fortunately we can also bank on the experience of our players like Ronwen, who have extensive experience with the national team and on the African continent, and have played even continental competitions at Supersport. Sipho Mbule, he's played continental competitions with Supersport. Then we've also got Brian Onyango, Dennis Onyango, Kennedy Mwini. These are players with extensive continental experience. Peter Shalulile for Namibia, Nasir for Ethiopia. These are regulars in their national teams. And then the experience of the players that have won Champions League and have done very, very well within the club competitions within the African continent. So, yeah, that's where we are, and we're looking forward to it. It's a good challenge for us. And the harder the games, the better it is for us, because we can then test ourselves and look to improve against very, very good opposition. The players have to generate that energy to the supporters, and then the supporters generate the energy back to the players, and it's important. If you see how a lot of the teams that do well in the Champions League, it is not necessarily only about the performance on the pitch, but also the feeling that you get with regards to understanding or getting a sense that you're away from home. And they make it extremely uncomfortable for, upon arrival, upon departing the hotel to the stadium. There's a lot of hostility, but a hostility that is related to football, and that should always be part of the game, because the game without the emotions is not a football match, and so the players have a responsibility to play well, to give the Yellow Nation that energy and the confidence and to galvanize them. But for sure, 100%, we also rely on them to push us through. You know, you make a very good example with the Petro game, because that was one of the games where I felt, had we had the advantage of playing at Loftus, and had we had the advantage of a full-packed yellow stadium, like we did when we played Zamalek in the Champions League, if you remember, we played at Lucas Moripe, but the players were able to just raise the game to a different level because of the energy that was at the stadium. And so, without doing Shupi's job and the marketing side, it's important that we ask for a lot of support on Saturday, and that energy to come in, and not for a quiet stadium, but a stadium that's got, as you mentioned, the yellow drum, and has got the energy to be able to push us to giving a very good performance, because we're going to need that to beat Al Hilal. We want to just do better than we've done the last few years. We want to win the Champions League, of course. We have to work very, very hard for that. It's not going to be given on a silver platter, and it might not happen this season, but we're gonna of course we're gonna try and win it this season. But we are here for the long term. We're trying to, you see with the recruitment, you see with the way we've done things with also the promotion of players like Jerome, like Cassius and Tando. We've given those kids opportunities. The recruitment also with regards to Allende is a different profile of the age category that we are looking for. Because we are here for the long term, and the long term means we have to, every single season, try to win every single match. Those are the objectives of the clubs, the objectives of the club, and ours is to try to make sure that every single day we work hard to win the next match, and do our best in every competition to win every single competition that we take part in. It's a pity that people are marked as successes or failures based on result. And sometimes you watch, even for an example, there's a coach called Roger Schmidt. He's a coach I follow extensively. I think he's one of the best coaches in the world. In fact, probably in my top two. But the guy wins nothing. That does not mean he should go down in history as not having had the qualities to be one of the best coaches in the world. The amount of work that he does, the innovation that he comes up with. I mean, another one is a Marcelo Bielsa, for an example. These coaches are people that progress the game. They innovative and develop the sport to become something that is always improving. Ronwen should never ever even be considered to be marked by failure or success of winning the Champions League, because if you watch what he's done for South African football in the last couple of months, where I read analysis work from top European scouts and some of the people that are based in Europe, and they now try to profile the goalkeepers in a different way because of what Ronwen is doing. That price and that success can never be evaluated, because that is something that's going to echo in eternity for many, many, many years. And that unfortunately is not something that even in life in general is something that people consider. You know, your quality is not necessarily reflected always in what you win, because There are teams that win competitions by what we would call accidental success, and that happens in football because you, as I said, you need a little bit of luck sometimes. But you generate your luck, and you got to work hard, and you got to continue to try again, and that's what we try to do, to do it better this time, to do it better away from home. One of the consistent features in terms of being knocked out in the quarterfinals is that we concede goals away from home, and that becomes something that plays to our disadvantage. And so we've got to try to work a little bit harder, and that's why I was, and the players know, I was very happy with the performance at Orlando Stadium, because as hostile as the crowd was, with a lot of tension in the stadium, as aggressive as the opposition was, we were able to defend very, very well, and we kept a clean sheet, and that is the type of profile we're going to need at certain times, where we are a team that must suffer and suffer together and assist each other to be able to grind results even in difficult matches. And we've shown that we have that mentality, and we have that potential, and that is something we're going to have to bank on this season in the Champions League. Pedri is playing World Cup. Is Cassius, his peer, Jude Bellingham, they're playing World Cup. And so I can go on and on and on and on with what we saw during the World Cup, and the exposure that these young ones were getting in that type of stage. I think Ronwen made his debut in the PSL. He was 18. He was 18 years old, and look at what has happened with his career. And many coaches persisted and trusted him, even in games that were very, very difficult. And it was easy to say maybe give a bit more to the senior and more experienced players. But if you don't give these young ones an opportunity to play games of consequence, and you don't throw them in these types of scenarios and competitions, how do they gain the experience? And Cassius has done very, very well, like many of the other players in our team who have come from absolutely teams where, for an example, Modao, Neo Maema was at Celtic. So these are teams that don't predominantly compete for titles and trophies. But their adaptation towards the culture of the team, the responsibility of trying to compete and help the team to be consistent, to win things, has been incredible. So we've got not just that type of story with Cassius, but we've got even other incredible stories. And that is one of the ways to look at trying to answer your question. But at the end, as I always say to you guys, it's about the players, and it's about the team. And as long as the team is strong and the team works together and the players are good teammates, we always have a chance to win football matches because of the collective and not because of individuals. And so Cassius's role is a role that is similar to Peter's role, is a role that is similar to Ronwen's role, is a role that is similar to Mtobi Mvala's role, which is to contribute to the performance of the team, to try to make the team a team that is difficult to play against, that we play with a lot of intensity and aggression, and we have the right mentality for the matches. And everybody has to try to contribute to that. When I went to Manchester with our under-15s a couple of years ago, you get there and you play a team from Japan, you get there, you play a team from England, you get there, and so the experience that the players get at a very young age to try to play and compete against teams that provide different tactical challenges and then, of course, I think also from a social perspective, the feeling of traveling and the feeling of staying at hotels at a very young age, getting that type of experience, and then also integrating with players and youngsters of different cultures and backgrounds. and making friends. You know, we forget how important that is from a social perspective. You know, in relation to football is these kids are kids at the end, and if I travel to Europe, one of the most important things that I make sure that I do is I network and I meet coaches that are coaching in different clubs and in different spaces, and I make friends and making these friends at a young age assist them to grow and aspire to play at different levels with regards to football. Because imagine a couple of years ago, a player like Angel Gomez was playing for Manchester United in the Under-15 Cup. And so you have a player like Maleboko Modise. Angel Gomez plays for Manchester United in the first team. Maleboko was competing and on the same pitch. And he sees this player already playing for the first team, playing Champions League football, playing EPL football. This ignites some form of fire and inspiration to say, if he can do it, and I was competing against him and I was able to compete against him, then I can do it. And so they go beyond what we see, and for me more than anything, as I speak about the development from a technical stimulation perspective, for sure. But for me, more than anything, is the social advantages that it provides, the ability to make friends and interact with people of different cultures and backgrounds. And that assists the player also in a holistic type of development in exposing them to different ways of thinking and different ways of doing things. And yeah, it's magnificent that the club has ventured into this direction. Congratulations to the football club and the initiative taken by the football club under the leadership of the chairman. So we have to give a lot of that kudos, and then of course the thinking from a technical perspective in being driven to think about exposing our youth to that level, and that's the work that the sporting director provides, Fleming, and his team with Sean and David Notwana and Sam Bata when they have their meetings. So a lot of kudos and a lot of big congratulations to the leadership of the football club for giving these youngsters that type of opportunity.